Yeah, you want to start? You guys ready?
Yeah, let's go.
Let's do it.
Let's talk about comedy.
Yeah, I got it.
Ladies and gentlemen, Movies with Mark.
Well, that's new.
Yeah.
I know, I just did that.
I still think that music, somebody puts their thumb or their finger on the turntable to slow it down.
It does have that kind of sound to it.
Now, I can't hear William very well.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
I can hear you. It sounds like you're in the other room. You are in the other room.
I'm in another room. Yeah, I'm in another.
Oh, that's better. Whatever you just did made it a little better.
Okay. I have a little volume control here, so.
Oh. Still, I'd like to hear you louder if I could.
Okay.
Maybe it's my ears.
Well.
I hear Molly good.
I should be all right.
Tom is unnaturally quiet today.
Yeah, he's being mysterious. I think he's saving it all up for his.
Yeah, he is. His hair is is sort of nicer today.
I have a haircut tomorrow.
You're getting it tomorrow. Okay, you find it unruly now because it looks very. It looks
very frat. I told him he was a frat hairdo.
He normally flips it up.
Frat? What do you mean frat? And when I was a kid,
dang it does look kind of Austrian.
I'm reminded. I did a movie called Oscar with Sylvester Stallone, and I made sure that the hairdresser cut my hair. I played a banker, and I wanted it so it could do what yours could do. It could be a sort of combed across like that, and if I dropped my head just right, it would fall down and make those bangs, and I put my finger up here, and I looked just like Hitler.
Oh wow!
And I managed to sneak it into one take in the movie.
Oh, I have to watch that.
Hitler all right, and I have a cowlick. That's why we
talk about another comedy. Sort of the queen of comedies, the king of comedies, not the king of comedy. That's another movie. It's a mad, 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 mad world. How many mads are there, Julius?
I think there were 4.
Yeah, I think it's 4 too. 4 too.
Yeah, I think that's right. Wait, I have it right here.
It was different.
It's a mad, mad, mad world. Yes, 4.
Yes, 4.
A movie made in 1963, starring, and I can't list everybody.
It's everybody.
But we'll talk about a lot of them as we go. The story about the movie is one of the background stories is Stanley Kramer directed it, who's not known as a comedy director, but he directed it, and he wanted to put every funny person in Hollywood in it, and he very nearly does. The one person that said no to him is Joey Bishop. I don't know if you guys are old enough to remember to know who Joey Bishop is.
I am.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm not.
You're not. No, certainly not. But do you know who Joey Bishop is?
I don't think I do.
You probably don't. He didn't do a lot of movies, but he was part of the Rat Pack. He was on Johnny Carson's show a lot, and he was a funny guy, very deadpan. But he said no, he didn't want to be in this movie with all these other people. But everybody else is in it. Buddy Hackett. The main people are Buddy Hackett. I've said Buddy Hackett 3 times.
Mickey Rooney.
Milton Berle.
Ethel Merman.
Ethel Merman, who's astonishing and crazy in it. Julius, name some. Oh, Sid Caesar.
Sid Caesar. Jonathan North.
Phil Silver.
Jonathan Winters. Jonathan Winters. Exactly.
It's something Jonathan Cold.
Yeah.
Real quick, there was a Goofy cameo with a guy at some point that runs over the
Jerry Lewis. That was Jerry Lewis.
Okay, Jerry Lewis. I was like, he's got to be a famous comedian because of that. I thought I recognized him, but it was such a little cameo.
As well did a little cameo.
No, and there are several like there. Jerry Lewis does one that's just really a drive-by. Edward Everett Horton, who was one of the funniest people in the 30s and 40s movies. And he was the voice, the narrator of Rocky and Bullwinkle. I don't know, never watched that cartoon.
Oh, yeah.
But he's just an incredibly funny guy. He plays the owner of the hardware store, and I don't think he has one line except when he's running after them and as they're leaving.
Yeah.
And you just see him. So Kramer, who was a pretty well-respected director and a political, really political guy too, very leftist, progressive. but he just must have had the respect of everybody, or they all thought it would be fun because everybody said yes to him. Arnold Stang is in it. The Three Stooges are in it for just the camera pans by them. They're dressed as firemen. Yeah.
This is something you guys may not know. You know, in the end, the guy that is there at the marina that is about to get in the boat so you can sail down to Mexico with the money. That is
Buster Keaton.
That's Buster Keaton.
Wow.
Yeah, Buster Keaton, who
I didn't
probably
catch
was
that.
80. He's the guy that when Spencer Tracy, who's the policeman, what is he? Something Culpepper. Is trying to escape with the money. He helps him guide him into his car into a garage. And it's Buster Keaton who's pushing on the car.
Yeah. Of course, she doesn't get a speaking role.
Yeah,
of course not.
Well, he's silent
He's
film.
a silent movie actor, and he does a classic Buster Keaton where he's going. Doesn't know which direction to go when all the cars take off around him.
Yeah.
I can't think of the other people that have little cameos. They maybe will come to you guys. Maybe.
Who's the guy that you said was in the
Gomer
was in the watchtower, the plane tower, helping direct traffic. Not Mel Brooks.
Don Knotts.
Don Knotts.
Yeah.
Don Knotts is in a car, and somebody gets a ride with Don Knotts, and then he's gone. He gets out of the car and he's gone. He's just a little bit, but and there's somebody directing traffic. There's
not Mel Brooks. Who is Carl Reiner? Carl Reiner's in.
Carl Reiner. That's right, in the tower. Carl Reiner, who also only has one line, if he has a line at all,
And
who's
Jack
one of the
Benny
people
as well.
in the tower at the airport.
Yeah.
And I can't remember Ford's name. Is it Paul Ford? Oh, the other guy that's in it that I think is just hysterical is Sergeant Bilko.
Phil Silver.
Phil Silver is right.
Yeah.
Who's very great. It's great. And Ford, I can't remember it, plays his nemesis, the Colonel, in the Sergeant Bilko show.
Paul Ford.
And Dorothy Provine, who isn't a funny person, but was a big TV show, plays Milton Berle's wife.
Oh, the wife. Yeah.
And so she's sort of the one sane one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But it's just a great big jumble of a movie that I really love, and I found myself laughing out loud again. Probably Julius and I have probably watched it 12 or 15 times since he was a kid. Well, it's one of what?
I was just going to say we should also mention that we have an extra guest here today, and it was because it was your suggestion.
That's right. Julius Metcalf, he's my son. That's why we have the last name. And I've been showing him movies, mostly funny movies, since he was, even before he was old enough to watch.
Yeah.
Probably. Starting with the Marx Brothers and Laurel and Hardy. Abbott and Costello are some of his favorites. And this movie was one of his favorites for a long time, along with A Funny Thing Happened on the Way to the Forum.
A Funny Thing Happened on the Way to the Forum is still up there as some of my favorite comedy. I love Zero Mostel in A Funny Thing Happened. It's fantastic. I still find myself moments of the day thinking of lines from that movie that just make me laugh. That also has Sergeant Bilko in it.
Julius has a remarkable mind for retaining Family Guy episodes and movies and things like that.
Tom does
he's
too.
He's also a law student and appears to be pretty good at retaining law things that you're supposed to retain if you're studying to be a lawyer. But that's the thing that he's best at is Family Guy. I call them short guys with high voices. What's that show?
South Park.
South Park. He loves South Park. He never really watched
Entertainment Law. He could do entertainment law then.
That's something we talk a lot about when we get into property law. We cover just about a week session of the semester is all about copyrights and trademarks and things like that. We don't dive in too deep. There's a whole class that you can take on that kind of stuff. But it's there. It's interesting.
Yeah. But this movie is it's what is it? The plot of it. Oh, and Jimmy Durante, right off the bat, the first thing you get is a cars speeding through down the Grapevine, I think they call it in California. This windy, twisty, turny road through high desert with rocks and sand and nothing. And Jimmy Durante is driving the car and it goes off the road and he dies. But before he dies, he tells the people that he's just passed that see him crash about this $350,000. And in 1963, $350,000 was a lot of money. That's buried under the big W. He keeps saying the big W. And it's perfect Jimmy Durante. It's really broad vaudeville comedy because he says at one point he looks right at the camera and says the big W. He doesn't want anybody to miss it, including all of us, the audience, that it's the big W. And then he literally kicks the bucket.
Oh my gosh! Well, he had a fake death scene too. Everyone thought he was dead, and then he pops back up.
That's right. He dies, and everybody thinks he's dead, and they are sad, and then he pops right up and says something about the big W again. Probably, I don't know.
It don't make any difference, Aunt May. It don't make any difference.
It set the tone for the entire movie. I was like, oh, this is going to be a crazy comedy.
They took that scene and put that in Vegas Vacation. At the end, when the old guy dies, he talks about winning and the big W, he says. And then he dies, and then he comes back. And
in what is that? In
Vegas Vacation.
Weekend with Bernie's?
No, Vegas Vacation.
Oh, okay. Oh, probably. There's all kinds of stuff in this, but it's not. I'm not sure that it was all originated by this movie because all these guys from Berle, Buddy Hackett, to especially Jimmy Durante and Buster Keaton are all. I mean, they tell the history of comedy in Hollywood, starting with Buster Keaton, and then Jimmy Durante had a big career as a comedian and MC and lots of things, and everybody loved him. And so I'm not sure that they're all pulling stuff from their life in comedy.
You mean they didn't invent the fall on the banana peel bit at the end?
And at the very end, which is hysterical, they're all in the hospital because they've fallen off of a big building. And who is it that throws the banana peel? Is it Buddy Hackett?
Yep.
Yes, it is Buddy Hackett.
Yeah. Yep. And then Ethel Merman comes in still screaming. I think Ethel Merman is phenomenal in it.
So that's who I thought was the best.
Yeah, she's the best. She's always like, if everybody else is here, she's way up here.
I was going to say, she's certainly the loudest.
Screaming.
She gave me a headache. She really did.
Come on, I
couldn't be stuck in a car with her.
6 times during the movie, I think, why doesn't somebody just shoot her in the face?
Why don't they just grab the keys instead of holding her upside down?
Yeah, they hold her upside down, her girdle and everything. It was crazy.
But
you want to go in after it.
It never stops. There's not a slow, like a serious slow scene in it anywhere. Even when they try, you think they are, when at the end, I should do the whole plot first. So he tells them about the $350,000 buried beneath the INW in a town called Santa Rosita in California, along the coast of California. And all these people, there are 5 of them, I think, 5 men that have come down, and they go back and they tell their women folks. Edie Adams is Sid Caesar's wife. Ethel Merman is the mother-in-law, is the mother of Dorothy Provine. Who left?
Your son?
Julius did.
Julius left. What happened, Julius? Where'd you go?
He's coming back.
So the plot of the movie is Durante tells them about this money, and these guys all go and they try to be nice about it, but they all start racing each other. They try to work together, but it's impossible to work together. And Sid Caesar has an incredible long bit where he tries to figure out how they could share the money if they all work together. That I think is hysterical. This is worth 2 shares, and that's worth 1 share. And they start racing each other to get to Santa Rosita first to dig up the money and get the money.
And at the time, they're like 200 miles away, it said, right?
Yes, 200 miles away. Exactly. I think that's, because all the time, Spencer Tracy, who's a policeman, the chief of police in Santa Rosita, has people spying on them. Every once in a while, you'll see a helicopter pop up from behind a hill because they've been watching them, because he knows he's been trying to solve this crime for 15 years or something like that, of what's Durante's name is Smiler Guggen or something like that.
Yeah,
and he's been trying to solve this crime and discover where the money is and finish it off before he retires. So Spencer Tracy's clocking them all the time, and they some of them fly. There's a great sequence where Jim Backus, who you may remember was the voice of Mr. Magoo. He was James Dean's father in what's it called? Rebel Without a Cause. You guys are all too young. You wouldn't remember that.
I remember it.
You remember that. Good. William, you're not as old as I am, but you remember the stuff.
Getting there. Yeah.
I remember Mr. Magoo.
Well, not only Mr. Magoo, he was also Thurston Howell and
that's right. He was Thurston Howell the third.
Yeah.
In Gilligan's Island. Exactly. Right. But they all are racing each other, and they pick up people along the way. Terry Thomas, an English actor, shows up and helps them drive there. Phil Silvers isn't part of the original group, but he joins them because they hitch a ride with him. Jonathan Winters hitches a ride with him, and they all end up miraculously at the same time in Santa Rosita, and they find the Big W and they dig up the money. And Dick Shawn, who I have to mention because Dick Shawn is hysterical, I think. He's in The Producers. Do you know the original Producers with the Mel Brooks directed?
Yes.
He's in that, and he's just so much. Dick Shawn must have died young because he just burned himself out. He just so much energy, and there's a whole long sequence at the beginning where he's dancing.
With the girl, yeah.
With the girl, and I can't figure out who the girl is. I think she might be uncredited. I couldn't see her. I didn't see her name in the credits anyway. But he's in it, and he ends up there, and they all end up. And then that's when Tracy decides, or just before that, Tracy decides that he's not getting his due from the mayor, so he's going to steal the money and run off. And they all follow. Then they follow him. They follow him. Follow the money. They all end up in this abandoned building on a fire escape that falls off. It's slapstick to the nth degree. It's farce. It's pratfalls. It's every comic bit that you can imagine, and it never stops. They just keep piling it on. Oh, that's what I was going to say. The one sort of quiet moment that surprises me every time I see it, and then it doesn't anymore, is when Tracy and Dorothy Provine, who's trying to be the straight one and not be involved in this, she's been dragged through this crazy long day of chasing after this money, and they're sitting there and she's putting water on her face, and that's when she's the first one to see these 4 palm trees that form the Big W, and Tracy, who's been scouting them all along, meets her, and they actually have a kind of a quiet moment where she begins to talk about what she might do if she had the money.
There we go.
Hey, you're back. Good.
Yes, I was able to. I'm switching over to my laptop, but luckily, since we're in the same house, I've heard you go through the entire story, and you've been doing well.
Oh, good. I haven't missed anything.
He's doing a good job.
Not that I can recall. The only thing that I think that we missed is that we forgot to say that one of the cab drivers was Peter Falk.
Oh, yes. Peter Falk is one of the cab drivers.
Yes.
And Rochester, whose name is, it's not his Rochester, but he was Rochester in the Jack Benny show. That's the other guy who is a drive-by, is Jack Benny.
I said it 3 times and nobody heard me.
Oh, I didn't hear you.
Oh, yeah, you did. I heard you.
I heard you. Will.
Right.
You.
I didn't.
They started out with, what was it, 8 people, and then at the end they had like 15?
10 men. 2 women, and then there's our leading man, Spencer Tracy.
Telly Savalas was also in it, right?
But there were 3 women.
Is he in it?
He had dark hair. I mean, he didn't have his head shaved, but he had a hat on. He had dark hair. I know that voice anywhere. Telly Savalas
it probably was. They got
yeah.
everybody in it. There's somebody. Hold on, I'm going to flip over here. There's somebody in it. Mike Mazurski's in it. Charles McGraw, Charles Lane.
The guy that played Uncle Charlie on My 3 Sons. I don't know his name, but he was like the cop that was trying to get him his pension.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, I know who you're talking about. I know when he's.
And if any of you watched, what's it called? Three's Company, Norman Fell is it?
Norman Fell, yes.
He's one of the cops that shows up when Jimmy Durante goes over the cliff and dies. Sterling Holloway, one of the guys with one of the greatest names in all of Hollywood, Sterling Holloway, but he's just the goofiest. With a name like Sterling, you'd think he'd be dignified with a lot of white hair, and but how did you do that?
Share someone do the share screen.
That's Molly working her magic.
No, that's Tom.
Oh, Tommy,
that's not me.
Look at that.
Oh, very good. Look at all this.
Who was the guy? It's the guy and his wife.
Muted.
They're moving all their stuff out, and they get run off the road, and they go down the hill, and all their stuff just flying off the car, and they finally crash. And he says, "If I said it once, I'll say it again. I didn't want to move to California."
Yes.
Right. I don't know who that is, but that's a great laugh line, and they just bounce down the hill in this car with all their furniture. They look like the Jodes coming from Oklahoma to California. I can't remember who he is, but who else? Oh, there's Dorothy Provine, Edie Adams, who I just used to have a big crush on, who was married to Ernie Kovacs. She was married to Ernie Kovacs. Oh, and Joey Brown. That's another guy that's an old timer who's in there.
William Demarest. That was Uncle Charlie.
That's right. He was Uncle Charlie. He was Uncle Charlie after Bill Frawley.
Bill Frawley, right.
Yeah, exactly. Who else? Paul. It is Paul Ford. There's this Leo Gorcey. From the Dead End Kids. He was in there. I missed him.
He did the voice of Billy Sue. He did the voice of Billy Sue on the phone.
Oh, he did. Oh, okay. All right.
That is quite a cast list.
It's a huge cast list. I mean, everybody that you can think of.
Tom used to
and the great and immaculate Zazu Pitts, another one of the great names that anybody's ever had in Hollywood. Zazu Pitts.
Yep. Oh, the Three Stooges were firemen.
Yeah, they were the firemen. That's that pan across it with totally deadpan. They didn't have to do anything. Just
that's why the ladder didn't work, right?
The Stooges.
Yeah, that's right. The ladder gets completely destroyed because it's got 10 men on it, flopping around.
The guy told him, he goes, one at a time. Okay, I told you.
No, that wasn't one of the Stooges, though. No, the Stooges were out.
No, the Stooges are just,
but they were with that group.
Yeah.
Well, when it panned, I missed. Was it the one? Because I saw Larry and I saw Mo. Was it Stemp? Which Stooge was it? Because I didn't catch the one on the left when it panned.
Curly?
I don't know. There were 2 third Stooges.
Curly was dead by then, so it had. And Shemp was dead too.
Okay.
I wonder. Yeah, because it was 1963. They were both gone by then. Maybe it was Joe DeRita.
Yeah, it was Joe DeRita. I'm looking at it online. Okay. It's Joe DeRita.
Yeah, they called him Curly Joe, but he wasn't really. Yeah.
Okay.
Joe DeRita.
That's who it was. Yeah. Okay. By 63, they were. Yeah. Yeah, they were old guys. They probably had to be propped up by that time.
Yeah.
But now I don't think I said before when Julius was off screen that when we watched it in the last couple of years, when we watch it, because Julius is quite into he loves comedy and he loves comedians, and he's not going to be an entertainment lawyer, though, I don't think.
No.
Because then he'd make some money. He's going to be an environmental lawyer, and he won't make any money.
I'm an international environmental lawyer. I'm going to even make less money than environmental lawyers because I can't even really sue people because everyone that I want to sue has sovereign immunity.
One of my son's best friends from high school and college said the same thing. I'm going to be an environmental lawyer. And when he got out of law school at Marquette, he ended up working for one of the justices of the Supreme Court in Madison. And now he is he's a prosecutor. So he's not doing environmental law. He's prosecuting.
And he worked for that crazy Wisconsin Supreme Court, huh?
Yeah, it was a lady that he worked for. I can't recall her name, but it was a female justice.
Because
Julius,
the
just
Supreme
have
Court of
everyone
Wisconsin has made some really weird decisions lately.
Julius, just have everyone pay you in Canadian dollars, and then you'll make more money.
It'll look like
yeah,
more money.
that's how that works.
And I'll be only able to use that money
in Canada.
Yeah.
But as we've watched it the last couple of years, Julius keeps talking about we should remake this movie, or somebody should remake this movie, and who would we cast in some of these parts now? And if he remembers, I'm gonna turn it over. I'm gonna put him on the spot.
Yeah.
Right.
No. Thank you. Yes, I was thinking if you were to do it now, I think first off, trying to get a director, or a producer somewhere in there that would really know how to do it. And I think Judd Apatow would, for me, that's who I think about when I think about directing comedy. But I think that the only one that I would think of doing well would be I would replace Jonathan Winters with Melissa McCarthy, and I'd replace the two gas station attendants with Key and Peele. And I think it's just because I want to see Melissa McCarthy tear down a gas station and Key and Peele just being ridiculously trying to stop her. That's the only thing I really want to see. My dad thinks that she should play Ethel Merman's part, but
I think Melissa McCarthy could do Ethel Merman, but she could do Jonathan Winters too.
I think she'd do the truck driver well. Yeah.
And I'll tell you this: Frank Caliendo does a Jonathan Winters that is spot on. And if you want to, yes. I saw him do it years ago when he was performing in Milwaukee in front of a Milwaukee crowd, and it was the younger people. I don't think they got it. I mean, the facial expressions, he looked like him, and then he just turned and pointed at the Jonathan Winters picture behind him, and the crowd went nuts. I mean, he does a great Jonathan Winters. I don't think he does it that much.
I know him, Frank Caliendo. Have you watched him, Julius?
No, not familiar. I mean, if I probably saw him, I might be able to place a fit.
You probably remember him because I think you.
How would you guys like David Spade as Mickey Rooney's character?
He would be. I'm not a big David Spade fan, but he would be good.
If Chris Farley were alive, him and David Spade as those two guys up in the plane, that would be fantastic. I love it.
Chris Farley would be a great Buddy Hackett.
That would be amazing. You just made me sad.
But Julius had the idea of Seth Rogen and James Franco.
But the more I think about it, I think that's. I don't think that James Franco has Mickey Rooney's energy to pull it off there and to be that angry at Seth Rogen there in the plane. I think that they just would be two stoners up in a plane. I was
going to say Seth Rogen would have to be stoned while he was flying.
Yes.
That's right. There's a lot. If you modernize the pilot now, you'd have to do lots of things. I mean, there would have to be some drugs in there.
There'd have to be,
Instead of the pilot getting drunk, he could be stoned and pass out.
Stoned and pass out.
Well, he fell down and hit his head. No, that was the one with Buddy Hackett at the controls. Yeah,
right.
I think that Will Ferrell should play Dick Shawn's part in as Sylvester, and I think he would be really good with that. Just go. Shawn Sylvester's part. When I'm coming to save you, Mama. I'm coming to save you.
Dick Shawn.
Dick Shawn. Right. Yeah.
They could have Bill Murray play Smiler with the fake death scene.
Oh yeah.
He would be good. He would be good with that. That would be good. I think if we're sticking to kind of a little bit of the original, kind of having someone like, we have Spencer Tracy as the police chief, who wasn't really in comedy as much as there. I thought that if you could get someone like Robert De Niro to play him.
Well, that would be I think that's good casting because Tracy wasn't known for comedy. He certainly wasn't known for this kind of comedy, and he brings a level of humanity to it, or a different level of humanity to it. All the scenes in his office where he's trying to talk to his wife and his daughter.
Oh, you had them talking to one another on the phone.
He's a very just calm level. Like he doesn't break. Like even when he's sitting there listening to them like arguing, he just sits there and like stares.
Yeah, and there's several long takes where he's hiding when they're getting close to the big W. There's one that I remember where he's in the bushes and he steps out just as Phil Silvers comes in, and they just look at each other for probably a 5 count or a 6 count. It feels like a long time, and Phil Silvers just turns and walks away. But you're right, Tracy just with that great stone face just stares at them, and they go, "Okay, never mind."
While me and Tom were watching this, one of my comments was, "Man, we should have been keeping count of how many cars they trash in this movie. Like, just rewatch it and just take a tally of how many cars they go through."
Yeah.
Well, let's see. There's the initial car that causes the accident, that causes this whole thing. There is the van, the guy with the truck that's moving stuff to Yuma. There is the car that he hits. The car that crashes into. Does he hit a car or does another car hit? He is the car that's carrying Ethel Merman.
He runs into the back of the car that Ethel Merman's in.
Okay.
The big, what is she calls what it is? It's a Mercury, because at one point she screams, "We're driving a Mercury and those guys are beating us. This is wrong."
But she wants him to pass 3 or 4 other cars on a twisty, turny mountain road.
On a twisty, turny, steep, downgrade road in the desert.
Yeah.
She's hysterical. She's really amazing.
I think that I would put just as a brief part, but one I would put John Mulaney in Don Knotts' part because I think I've only seen John Mulaney act in like a few. Like I've only seen him. I mean, I've seen his stand-up, but I've seen him act in like a few things. But I think he could actually pull off Don Knotts' kind of spasmic, going back and forth is looking.
Yeah. The key to the Don Knotts part is just terror.
Yeah.
While we're on the subject of John Mulaney, have you seen Netflix the cartoon called Big Mouth?
Yes, I have.
Because he's great in that.
Yeah,
it's for adults.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. How old do you think I am?
No, I'm talking about. It's not for kids. I mean, you're an adult, but I mean,
it's not a
cartoon.
Kid cartoon.
No,
you can't watch it with kids.
But now, if you're recasting it, one of the things that Kramer does, like I noted before, he's got a guy like Buster Keaton. He's telling some of the history of comedy in terms of the people that are in it. Like he goes back to Buster Keaton. He's got Jack Benny. He comes all the way up to current day. So who would we put in it? Who could we cast in it just to do a cameo that would be like Jerry Lewis? Jerry Lewis was too big to do a main part at that time.
Carl
Reiner's
passed. Mel Brooks is still alive.
Mel Brooks is still. Oh yeah, Mel Brooks would have to do something.
Mel Brooks could do something. You could just do You could just have Mel Brooks standing on a corner, like about to cross, and then all the cars just go back, and he's like,
"Would you guys allow Bill Cosby in there?"
Oh no, I think
no. We can't.
Too soon, Tom. Too soon.
No,
we'd have to put Eddie Murphy in there.
I think we could put Eddie Murphy. I think you could get Eddie Murphy in a scene in there.
Yeah,
I think that you could get him in.
I think your directing idea is good, but I was thinking, because I'm a fan of John Landis because I've worked with him 5 times, and he really understands, or did understand, comedy and understands the history of comedy and gets all those gags, and I think he'd have a lot of fun doing it, and a lot of people. Eddie Murphy would come out and do it with him because Eddie's worked with him a couple of times.
And Eddie Murphy, if we are to believe what he says to Jerry Seinfeld in Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee, he liked working with him in particular.
Oh, did he? Okay, good.
Yeah, he mentioned. I mean, he says, from what I remember, he's right. John really knew how to he knew how to put funny people in and just let them do their thing.
And let them do what they do.
Yeah, let them do what they do, which I think is what eventually has to happen, since I do love these jokes, but we're going to have to do a lot of new ones.
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah. Because you've got to tailor each of the to the what the guy does.
Yeah.
And you also
although
have to change
it's funny that Milton Berle, I think Milton Berle is very funny in it, but he doesn't play the typical Milton Berle persona that he did on stage in his stand-up routine. It's really an acting job in a lot of ways.
Yeah, he's beaten down by the mother-in-law.
No.
So the amount of money, $350,000 in a remake, you're going to have to change that amount.
Oh, that has to be. It has to become $5 million or something.
Maybe even more than that,
or more. Yeah.
Maybe throw Mike Myers in there with a cameo.
If Mike Myers could do a cameo, if Norm Macdonald
could be the British guy.
He could be anything.
$40 million of
Fantastic.
Bitcoin.
Put him in a crazy,
Yeah.
Oh, he would be amazing as a British guy.
when they were fighting and they weren't hitting each other. It just kind of made me laugh. So you want to go?
I wanted to put Ricky Gervais in the Terry Thomas part.
Yeah, but I don't think you could. I think you're going to have that part has to have a little bit more energy. And I think that Ricky Gervais is what makes Ricky Gervais funny is his low energy. He's low energy in there.
Yeah, who's the other guy that I think of that we used to watch a couple of specials of, who does a whole thing about evolution? An English guy.
He was the cross-dresser guy, right?
Oh, yeah. Eddie Izzard.
Yeah.
Eddie Izzard actually could do that. Could do that pretty well. Great. Yeah, he'd be great. Yeah.
Now, does he cross-dress? Is he?
That's what he calls himself. He is just a cross-dresser.
Yeah.
Okay.
And he's fluent in French. He does stand up in different languages. He's a brilliant guy.
Real smart guy. Yeah.
You could.
Are really smart.
I wonder if we could get Trevor Noah in there.
Oh, Trevor Noah might do something too.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Again, he probably only would have time to do a bit on one day, just come down and show up.
In all honesty,
I would rather Jon Stewart.
Oh yes, Jon Stewart is in that level between being serious and funny. He actually probably could do Spencer Tracy's part. I think that he would do well in Spencer Tracy's role as well. I think he would do well there. Either that, or you could get, in terms of, we're thinking someone serious yet also funny. You could put Steve Carell.
He could do either.
Yeah, he could do either. Maybe Jon Stewart does Spencer Tracy's part, and then you get Steve Carell to do Aloysius, who you said was the guy from Family Ties or Family Matters. Was the
William Demarest, to me.
William Demarest. You get him to do William Demarest's part.
Right.
Yeah.
The thing about, don't go too far afield with Spencer Tracy's part, because one of the reasons he's there is something that Molly mentioned, the kind of gravitas that he brings to it. And I think De Niro brings that. Your initial instinct is better, more than Jon Stewart has a different kind of gravitas, because there's a weightiness to him, but you expect him to be funny. And nobody expects Spencer Tracy to be funny. Really.
The other crazy thing with this movie is, so in their mad dash to get this money, not only the cars, but just everything that they trash along the way, the plane that gets trashed, the restaurant that they crash into, the hardware store that they destroy, the gas station or repair store, like each individual person, how much money in damages do you think they racked up? Do you think that even what they would have split would have covered that?
No.
My problem is it was all a hunch. They don't even know.
No, I know.
Right.
They just on the barest, just a dead man, a dying man with a huge nose in the desert, tells them about and they say, "Let's go get it."
They all dropped their plans. They all lost their cars. They all destroyed
they lost
something
their
else.
They spent more than their share would have been, probably.
Right. That's what I'm
Just
saying.
kidding.
I'm sitting here kind of racking up like the damages, going.
But that's what makes things funny, is that obsessive irrationality of it, that they go, and once they've decided to go, they just go. And you're right, it's so there's such a level. I was struck by the level of anger that everybody has. I mean, so much of their comedy, like Ethel Merman is just pissed off all the time. And everybody gets angry, and people get cowed by her, and then
I'd have dumped her on the side of the road.
Oh yeah, long time.
Oh, I know.
Did not let her get in my car at all. Yelling that
She's out.
voice. Oh my god.
And the other thing is, like Molly mentioned, how much is destroyed. I mean, they just destroy everything and end up destroying. Well, the building doesn't fall apart, but the fire escape falls off of the building. And it's just amazing.
It was already condemned. That one wouldn't have even been that much of a problem if they had wrecked it.
There was one
Was
point
it a
in the
political
movie.
rally out there that they were doing, or what was it? What was that crowd out there for?
Oh, that Joey Brown is talking to? There's
Right.
a lot of them there's no explanation really.
Yeah.
Joey Brown is talking to them. There are a lot of the men in hard hats.
Right.
It looked like a crew that was ready to go in and tear the building down.
That's what I thought. Maybe they were trying to like save the building or something. I don't know.
Oh, yeah, maybe. I don't know, but it was definitely an abandoned building when they went inside and went up the stairway. So I thought they were going to tear it down or maybe go in and clean it or something.
It said
Tom,
it was
what were you gonna
condemned when
say?
they went in.
Oh, the one scene in the movie that I actually paused the movie and yelled at Molly because this would have been her and I to a T 100% is when they were in the basement of the hardware store and she says, "Can you hit the door one more time?" And he goes, "I don't know. This is pretty rickety." And she looks at him and he's like, "Fine, to make you happy, I'll give her one." And it just collapsed.
That's such a great, crazy sequence, that long sequence when they're locked in the hardware store and they set off fireworks, they try dynamite.
Who was that actress?
What?
Who was that actress? That
That's
plays as
Edie Adams is her name.
She's actually some funny.
She's a sort of a stunning to look at actress in terms of her physical attributes, if I can say that. And she was married to a guy named Ernie Kovacs, I believe. Somebody look that up. I can look that up. I think she was. And she's funny, but she's not a comedian. She's not like Martha Ray or somebody like that.
She was married to Ernie Kovacs.
I think you could cast the whole thing out of Saturday Night Live people. One of the things I was thinking, if I wanted to take this seriously, I'd call Lorne Michaels and say, why don't we do a remake of It's a Mad, 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 Mad World? And you'd have Tina Fey in there. You could get Will Ferrell, Alec Baldwin. I thought Alec Baldwin needed to. What did I say, Alec Baldwin?
You thought he should be the drunk guy on the plane. The guy that was.
He could do the Jim Backus part.
Jim Backus. All right, I
Well,
think he'd be good on that.
why don't you get serious about it? Just do it. Come on, Mark.
I think maybe I will. I think
we could call Elliot right now, and I think he would go for it.
He might. I'm not sure that I trust Elliot to carry the ball across the line on something like this. But I will. I'll think about it because I might.
Maybe we'll make you the Spencer Tracy
I was
guy.
just gonna say that. That was literally on my lips. Mark could play that guy.
Right.
Yes.
I think it needs to be. If you're going to do it, the gag is that it's all sort of really famous people that people know. I mean, I could do a cameo in it as Niedermeyer or something like that.
Everyone knows the maestro. Come on.
Yeah,
that's true. They do.
I think you'd have to, if we're talking like getting some classic comedians in there, like history. I think you probably have to try and get Jerry Seinfeld in there to do.
Well, I was thinking
Jerry
that too when you mentioned him before with Ricky Gervais.
You could run the whole gag. Jerry Seinfeld could be the guy that runs over the guy, Spencer Tracy's hat, and then you have two Jerrys basically doing the same thing. Because that was Jerry Lewis that did that.
But he could also, Jerry could do the Jack Benny part, who just drives by and tries to help and does that long, slow take.
He could do the comedians in cars with coffee and have another comedian in the car with them and run over the hat.
Yeah, just have him like Kevin Hart or something.
That's great. That would be a perfect gag, right?
Just driving by, drinking their cups of coffee.
Yeah. Do you guys need help? And, no, we don't.
And then somebody could completely trash a pristine Corvette that he's driving with the commercial.
Maybe have Dave Chappelle sitting shotgun.
Yes, Dave Chappelle sitting
Chappelle's
shotgun.
gotta be in it too.
Yeah,
Right.
Dave Chappelle sitting shotgun. Or then that would be
Molly, write this down.
It's recorded, man. It's going to be out there.
It's better than written down.
We're doing somebody's work for them. Now watch.
Right?
Next week in Variety, they're going to talk about remake of it. It's a mad, 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 mad world.
Well, if they do, they should.
The ideas.
They should know that I think Ethel Merman, if we didn't put Melissa McCarthy in Ethel Merman's right, I think that Kate McKinnon could do well in Ethel Merman's
absolutely.
Right. Oh, yeah. But you could, let's be honest, we could do the entire thing just having Kate McKinnon doing different parts with different wigs.
Absolutely.
And stuff.
Right.
Most talented person on SNL, without a doubt.
Yeah.
She may be
I don't like how she walks.
Most versatile of that's ever been out there.
You don't like how she walks?
In that Verizon commercial, it's
The
like
new commercial.
I can't know if they got her on ice wet high heels, but she just
There's a Verizon
comes in
commercial and
there.
she's wearing like these red heels and she's walking goofy. And Tom's like, is she walking on ice or is that just the way she walks? And now
Can't
every
talk
time I
like
see that
about it.
commercial,
She's kind of walking like a truck driver, isn't she?
in
like
heels.
she's trying to, like a carny, moving you to the next part of the freak show. Just hey, now over here we got the
Drawing it back to my fascination with things like Family Guy, you could get someone like Seth MacFarlane to do Robert De Niro's wife over the phone and his daughter over the phone.
Oh, doing all the voices?
Doing all the voices that you have that are just over the phone or something. You could have him doing that. I think he would be down for that.
Yeah, because I wanted to find out who did the voice of his wife, which is a very recognizable voice and a very funny woman, but I couldn't remember. Very like a real New York sound.
Yeah,
but I couldn't. I didn't.
Tom,
look it up.
do you have that information?
a New York sounding girl.
Just look up the voice of the wife. Google.
Hold on, I think I might. Oh, I know who it is. It's Selma Diamond.
Oh, Selma Diamond. Yep.
You know her.
I do know her.
Yeah, I know her. When I see the name, I know that name. I don't know how I know her, but I know her.
From Night Court.
Yeah, she died.
Oh.
She was part of the Night Court curse.
That's right. That's right.
And she's been on a few other things too. But yeah, her voice is very recognizable.
Yeah, very distinctive voice, real gravelly.
She's been going a long
Night
time.
Court curse?
There's a Night Court curse.
What's that?
Everyone who played that part died the first year
Really?
during the show. Yeah, I'll look it up to get you more on it. But
Marcia Warfield's still alive. I saw her in Vegas last year.
Who?
Marcia Warfield is still alive. She's doing stand-up. I saw her in Vegas last year at the Comedy Club. When we were at LA Comedy Club, she was doing the Late Show. She came walking in. But
it would be easy and a lot of fun to really sort of sit down and cast the whole thing and then rewrite it first to modernize it, and then with ideas like
the bailiff.
Everyone who was the bailiff on that show ended up dying right away.
Not right away. Bull was around a long time, and then the black guy just died. She's still alive, Marcia Warfield.
Is she?
And the black guy just died like a month or two ago. I can't remember his name.
Well, let's be honest. Eventually, everyone's going to die.
Yeah, everyone's going to die. I mean, look, Barney Miller.
I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it.
You're not doing
it? Like Woody Allen says, I'm not afraid of death. I just don't want to be there when it happens.
I hear you.
Yeah.
So let's go around and do what we usually do. Wrap up.
Will has a gig at 7:30.
That guy dropped out. He must have been afraid. He told me a family emergency. I was doing a roast battle with a guy, and he said he had a family emergency, so he couldn't make it tonight. So
yeah, that's what he told you, so you don't go.
Maybe, but I mean, I think he was probably intimidated.
He's still gonna have it, and then he's gonna be like, "Where's William? Oh, I guess he was too scared. He didn't show up."
The guy who ran it called me and said he would reschedule us. So, well, it's fine. So I'm in no hurry to go. I think I told
Julius, you should know William does stand up around.
I do.
Yeah. Do you know Patrick Schmidt?
Yes, of course. He's more of an improv guy.
What?
More of an improv guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's improv.
He does
Julius
some stand-up,
studied
though.
improv with him.
Right.
Yeah, I studied under he taught at First Stage, and I did improv there during
Yeah,
high
he's
school.
super nice guy. I like Patrick.
Yeah, he teaches now at he's like a theater
Teaches
for
at a
some
high
school.
school, I
At
think.
high school. Yeah, I think.
Good.
I think. Yeah.
So yeah, I've got to go too because I've got to cook dinner. So let's
I
go
gotta eat
around and
dinner.
give it and rank it, rate it like we do.
Okay.
Let's start up in the upper left-hand corner with Molly.
Me.
Yeah, you're on the spot now.
So it was a little bit of an intimidating movie to get into because it's a long movie. What is it? 2
2 hours and 39
2 hours
minutes.
and 40 minutes.
Really?
It's a long
that
movie.
long?
and
Oh,
it's-
there's an intermission in it, even, isn't there? Yeah.
Yep.
There is an intermission. So we're looking at it going, whoa. But it did clip along pretty well. I mean, it's just nonstop, like, slapstick and prop, comedy, and just there's always something going on. But it's almost to the point of like, it's too much going on. But I
It's
think
a
that
little-
was the
it's-
intention.
It's over the top. It's funny always. So
It's
just like
over the top funny, but if I know that's what I'm getting into and if that's what I'm watching it for, I'm cool for the over the top. I mean,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
that's what this is. That's what it's trying to be. That's what it is. It's doing a good job.
And like you said earlier, when Jimmy Durante kicks the bucket and dies and literally kicks the bucket, you know what you're in for. You
Right.
know what
And
you're
Tom
gonna
was
be
like, he just kicked the bucket.
watching.
Like, yeah, and that was what set the tone for the whole movie, and it didn't waver too much from that.
Yeah, no,
Um,
it sort of never stops. Oh, the
I
other
mean, it's
guy
a
that's
little-
in it that I want to mention who I love is Ben Blue, who's the guy who flies the biplane that
Oh,
Sid Caesar flies in. And I don't know if you know who Ben Blue is, but he comes from old time comedy too. And he has a great part that you see more of him in The Russians Are Coming, The Russians Are Coming. Have you ever seen that movie?
okay.
Long time
I
ago.
don't think so.
Oh, you should watch it. Alan Arkin, Carl Reiner's in it. I don't know who, I can't remember who directed it. It's a very, very funny movie.
Okay.
Emergency, everyone to get from street.
Maybe you should watch that one next.
What?
Maybe you should watch that one next.
Maybe we should do that next since you guys have never seen it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Julius, you could come back because you've seen it a half a dozen times.
I haven't seen it in a long time. I'd have to watch it again. But let's be honest. I start law school next week, so unless you do this within the next 2 days,
No, we're not gonna do
yeah, I'm not gonna be able to do that.
Oh, come on. You're not going to be busy.
that. So
Still
what do
do
you get? What do you rate it, Mally? What's your rating? Did you say? hard.
No, I think I'd give it a 4.5. It made me laugh. It made me laugh out loud.
4.5 out of
multiple
10?
times.
Out of 5.
No, we do it out of 5.
Okay.
Yeah, we normally do 5.
Okay.
It was good. I mean, it kept me laughing. It was long. It was, there were little over the, I liked the over the top.
See, that's the problem with
4.5.
kids today is you just don't have an attention span that'll go through it. I had no idea that it was 2 hours and 40 minutes, you say?
Yeah.
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 Because it moves right along. It never slows down, like I said before.
Yeah.
It just keeps going.
I think what took away from it a little bit for us was we watched it it was streaming on, it was either Tubi or Pluto. I think it was streaming on both of them, but it had commercials that would cut in and just, and they would cut in at the most like inappropriate, times.
We'd see that weird walking chick over and over again.
There's not really a good time. There's not really a good time to cut in with commercials.
You've got to watch
because
it
it's so-
continuous because then you get caught up in the momentum of it.
Right.
Oh,
but it
Unless
would
you've
cut
seen
out.
it.
It would cut in with the commercials and it would kind of ruin the momentum that it had going. And it was
Yeah.
just like, oh, okay, well now, sit back and listen to this commercial. So
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
too bad. Well, yeah, if you get a chance to watch it on DVD or to watch it, if it ever shows up on TCM, if you get a chance, watch it
Yeah.
again, because it's funnier when it doesn't stop.
right.
I mean, I don't think it needs that intermission, but like Julius leaned over to me and said, "Shall we go get popcorn?" The
That's
theater
why they
owners
put those in there.
insisted.
Yeah.
So we did it.
Lots
All
of
right,
movies had
Tom.
intermissions.
All right. Yeah, there's a reason they repeat the same word 4 times in the title. It's a mad, 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 mad world. So you know what you're getting into. You expect it. But I think this movie proves like the same reason why you need comic relief in drama movies.
Right.
You need to break that tension. I think in comedy there needs to be a time where you need a breather.
Where you take a breath.
Yeah, because they just kept going from scene to scene, and I'm like, I'm getting anxiety. Everybody's yelling at everybody to shut up. Nobody's talking.
He did make me
nobody's
pause it a couple
listening.
times.
Everybody yells. Nobody listens. Yeah, I know what you mean. Although I really appreciate a movie that doesn't let you up, that keeps shoving the pie in your face.
Yeah, but it was the cringe comedy so much that you can only take so much. You know, The Office was great because it ended at a half hour, and then next week you can see the cringiness of it. But if you binge The Office, you kind of go, "Ooh, it's skin crawling."
You can only take that much cringe comedy. Who watches It's Always Sunny?
Oh,
that's the cringiest comedy ever.
I love
it. 30-minute segments.
I love Always. I love it too.
Julius loves. I can't watch it because Charlie Day's voice just drives me out of the room.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
it's a Ethel Merman. You could do? You could have the cast of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia being just the people in the airport tower, and they're trying to direct the plane down.
Yeah, Danny DeVito hangs himself on the cord.
Right? Yes.
Like in the show when he couldn't hang himself because he's got no neck.
And Charlie's probably one of my favorite characters, but his voice is terrible.
Who?
It's annoying. Charlie in Always Sunny. He's probably my favorite character, but his voice is.
It just drives me
grating.
crazy.
But you know, the funny thing, you talk about that saying having a break in drama, because It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. I have found there are a few episodes that are actually very kind of heartwarming and moments, like especially this latest one where they're in Ireland and spoiler alert for anyone that hasn't
saw
seen
that one.
Yeah, it's
he made me watch it. Yeah, I watched it.
Yeah, it's actually there's moments where it gets a little harrowing. I actually teared up a little bit at the end of that one. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah,
You teared up.
You wouldn't be able.
Is there like throwing the tarp covered?
Not that. Not when they toss the body off the cliff. I tear up when he's.
That made you cry, tossing the body?
No. What made me cry is when he's carrying it up in the rain by himself, and he's saying, "Why the hell am I doing this for you? You were never there to carry me up a hill.
Oh.
You never carried me up a hill, Dad." And now I got to carry you. Never picked me up from school. You never did that. But I'm here carrying you up a hill. You're dead corpse. I'm doing it. And I tear up at that because it is. That's sad. You don't cry at that because you're a robot.
Yeah. Oh. All right. All right. We started on an insult. We'll end on
an insult.
Tom, did you
one of the things I want to insert, though, in terms of the difference in comedy now that you guys have grown up on, and Julius particularly, and the rest of you, not William, is look at the faces in that movie and the amount of mugging. I mentioned to Julius as we were watching how much mugging. I mean, Jerry Lewis, all he does is drive by and make faces. And Buddy Hackett's face is like, yeah, I know. Hey. And Buddy Hackett's face is just like, I watched, you know who Jack Guilford is?
Yes. Well, I do.
Jack Guilford, who's hysterical, and he's in Funny Thing Happened in the Way of the Forum. I watched him do stand-up once at the West Bank Downstairs Theater Bar in New York, and he did his imitation of porridge coming to a boil. And all he did was that face of his, and then he just, I can't do it because I don't have that face, but just every little, he would make it bubble and make his face became bubble. And Buddy Hackett has a face like that. It's just, who refers to it as the guy with marbles in his mouth. But his face is just all over the place. And Mickey Rooney's energy, but comedy had a lot more, was less verbal. It was more energy, more visual in terms of mugging and things like that.
Oh my gosh.
And it was coming out of that tradition.
The old Adams Family with
Oh, who did?
Uh,
Yeah.
No, Ernest was the king of mugging as older.
Who
comedy.
was?
Ernest, the guy who played Ernest.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But in
Oh, we
Adam's
can't give
Family, the
him a
guy that
part,
plays
though.
like Frankenstein, he's got the
Peter Boyle.
facial expressions for
The
days.
Adams Family. Who's Frankenstein?
Lurch?
The Addams
Christopher
Family.
Yeah,
Lloyd.
Lurch,
Christopher Lloyd.
yeah.
He
L-
played
Lur-
Uncle
Lurch-
Fester.
Yeah, Christopher Lloyd plays Uncle Fester, who's the bald guy. But Lurch, I don't know, is the butler who is the Herman monster.
Right.
The Herman monster.
Herman Munster. Yeah, that guy.
That's
The
the
Herman
Munsters.
Munster.
That's what I meant.
That's
Herman
not-
Munster.
That's Fred.
Adams
That's
Family.
Fred Gwynn,
He's-
isn't Herman Munster?
Yeah,
Fred
Herman
Gwynn.
Munster, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's who I was talking about.
Okay.
The
Same
Monsters, not the Adams
The
Family.
Munsters.
Yeah.
So,
They're,
Tom,
they're
what?
like the same damn
wasn't in the
family.
Herman Munster wasn't in the Adams Family. See, Munster.
It's like it's the
Munster.
same thing, man.
But he
No, it's
looks.
not.
The thing is that Lurch from the Adams Family looks like a Herman Munster.
Yes.
Right.
He
That's
does,
it.
but he was like he wasn't a main character. He was the butler. You
Yeah,
right?
he doesn't have it. Yeah, he doesn't have any
Pretty much.
lines. He just. I mean, in the Adams Family I grew up with, he just.
Yeah.
You probably saw the movie, right?
Yeah,
Well, the series, he would talk, and he would say,
he would talk.
They would pull a thing, and he'd say, "You rang." Big guy. Yeah.
I'm going to
So
give
we
it a
kind of
4.
stepped on your
You're going to
review
give it a
there.
4? Okay.
That's okay. It's
That's
okay.
good.
I'm going to give it a 4. Just overly cringe. In the remake, don't make it overly cringe.
We'll make it
But
shorter
it was
too.
very good.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's my turn then, I guess.
Yeah.
Way long. It was way long for me.
Did it feel long to you?
Yes, it felt
Really?
very
Okay.
long. Yes, it did. And it first off, the $350,000, it seems like a drop in the bucket.
Yeah.
So that doesn't translate to this time. Buddy Hackett, I've always been a fan of his.
Yeah.
What a great storyteller he was on the Tonight Show. And I love the kind of his brand of comedy.
Yeah.
Ethel Merman,
Yeah.
it was grating on my nerves. Her voice. It's like,
It was
take it
supposed to
down
be.
a notch, honey.
It was
I know.
supposed
You know
to
what it
be.
reminded me of? It's like
She knew the assignment.
the original Arthur with Dudley Moore. And he goes and he knocks on the wrong door, and this lady comes to the door in curlers, and she yells, "My husband has a gun!" And he goes, "I'm sure he does, madam, and he probably shot it while you screamed." It's funny for a short time, but all through the movie, it's like, I was glad to see her. I wish she'd been hurt more, slipping on a banana peel. She really, and I mean, like, I remember her. There's no business like show business. Like, she was big Broadway. Big voice, big personality. It was too much of her. It was just too much.
See, I
Small-
think
and
I
felt
think Kramer
bad for
paces.
Milton.
It is too much, but it's supposed to be. I think Kramer paces her pretty well through it, but that's all right. I just really like it.
And I
Go ahead.
felt bad for poor Milton Berle having to be in the car with her. And she wasn't just on him, she was on her too. She
Oh,
was
yeah.
criticizing both of them.
On everybody.
Yeah.
You're supposed to hate her. That's the thing. You're supposed to really hate
Right.
her.
Well,
The scene when
It's
she's on the
affecting
phone
the
with her
story.
son and
She
he's
did
not.
so good.
oh,
The
yeah.
scene
the
when she's
son-
on the phone with her son and
Because
he's
he's
not
trying to-
listening. And
He's
Yeah.
trying to explain it. He goes, "No, Ma, I'm going to come, you boys.
I'm
No,
coming."
shut up and listen. No, I'm on my way, Ma. No, shut up." She couldn't
but
get
he's
the
so
point
used to her just yelling that he's not
Yeah.
listening. He's coming.
Yeah, that phone call gave me hives.
And also,
Yeah.
those short shorts I could have done without. Maybe in that time, but like seeing a guy wearing shorts like that, it's a little odd. It's a little
Wait,
weird.
what shorts?
The
Which-
red
Oh, the-
shorts that the kid was
And the
wearing.
girl was dancing.
Oh.
Will, I don't think you're supposed to think he's a normal person. I hope
Right.
you know that
Really not.
Yeah.
he's not supposed to be normal in
And he's
this.
coming to save her, and that was funny though, when she's stuck in the car and she's on her head and her legs are flailing and the car is backing up down the street. That was hilarious. I give it a 4.5. I give it a 4.5.
Okay, that's good. That's good. Julius.
Me? Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I've never been on the show before. And I mean, I get what you mean. See, I think about it. I worry about it if it were to be played out today. If you could play this thing today, would it be as fun? Be as funny? I'd laugh at it. I'd still laugh at it. I definitely think there would be a group of people if you did. But I get that it being very long. It's very long, and we're not used to comedies that were that long. I mean, it has an intermission. The only comedy that in my generation that had an intermission was when they did the double feature of Toy Story 1 and Toy Story 2 before they were going to release Toy Story 3. That's about as close as it got. But so I understand that, but at the same time, it's a mad world. The concept of this is supposed to be pretty sane. This is the closest thing this is to wacky races. This is like what are they?
I like that.
Hanna-Barbera.
Yeah.
Hanna-Barbera. This isn't like
Dudley and Dastardly.
Yeah. Yes, Dudley Dastardly. Yeah, it's that. This is not an educated. This is not a superiorly educated comedy. This is wacky races. This is who gets there first.
It's like Cannonball Run a little bit too. It's like Cannonball Run.
Yeah.
Yeah, there were a lot of things, a lot of films that I think came after it that were taking its kind of energy. Cannonball Run is one. There's another one. Isn't there one with Gene Hackman where they're racing around across the country or something like that? I don't know.
Maybe.
Yeah. So you want
Midnight Run? There's Midnight Run, but that's completely different.
And I hear they're doing a sequel to Midnight Run.
Really?
I heard that. I read that somewhere just the other day. Yeah. It was on the internet, so it's got to be true, right?
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
So, Julius, what number do you give it?
I'm going to go with the 4.5. I really love it. I mean, I think it's there. I mean, is it one of my favorite comedies of all time? Yes, but in the top 5? I don't think so.
You don't think it's in the top 5?
I don't think it's in the top 5. A funny thing happened on the way to the forum is I still really, really love, because it's basically Weird Science, but in ancient Rome. It's like, how we got so many crazy people in this house, and mom and dad are away. How the hell are we going to get them out of here before the clock strikes 12? Oh dear God. That's for anyone interested in seeing a funny thing happen on the way to the forum. That's the premise of it. But I do love it. I'd say 4.5. Maybe I'll put it in half. I'll put it. You know what? I'm only going to be here once in maybe a year, so I give it a 5. I think it's a 5.
You know, it was your choice, and you should give it a 5. You should.
Yep.
Thank you. Yeah. I'm
I
curious.
give it a 5 too, just because I've enjoyed it so many times with Julius, and I don't know that I would have enjoyed it as much if I hadn't been watching it with him and watching him when he was a kid. Really enjoy it. So it's interesting also for me to hear him talk about it now that he's sort of grown up with it and still appreciates it and still likes it, but for different reasons. I mean, the idea of wanting to recast it and remake it, I think, is actually a good idea. We could use something.
Let's see. I think set up a meeting. Can you get a meeting for us?
Get a meeting for you guys?
Have your people call my people. We'll get a meeting.
I was going to say, I did want to draw this. The only thing in the modern day equivalent of this, I think, is Avengers Endgame. Just in terms of that, they got so many people. How did you guys free up the time schedules of all these celebrities to say, yeah, we need you to come in and be this for a bit? That's what the problem is. Like nowadays, how are you going to find that?
Because you want to be a part of it. I mean,
you want to be a part of it, and I think that's something you could do with something like that if they remember the original. If they remember it's a mad world, they're like, oh yeah, I gotta be a part of this. I gotta be.
Yeah.
Well, and also you've got to get 1 or 2 or 3 people early on, and then they'll bring the others. I mean, if you get Bill Murray to do a little part, and he says, yeah, I want to do this, and you got a couple of the other people, then everybody else will come just to hang out. Because all you've got to do, I mean, that end game, that last scene, I think they photoshopped in most of those people.
That's also the one things you can do. With this, you probably would have to get some of them in the same room.
They certainly photoshopped Howard the Duck.
Just tell Sandler to bring his friends. That's the whole
Did you say Sandler?
Sandler, yeah.
Yeah, I thought that Sandler also could have done Sylvester's role.
Dick Shawn's part.
Dick Shawn's role. I also thought he could have done that role. You got to put Sarah Silverman in there probably as well, and Kristen
you got to put Sarah Silverman in.
Get Kristen Wiig,
even if it's just a cameo, a bit, one bit.
Yeah.
All right. What are we going to do next?
What are we doing next?
The Russian. Repeat the Russian.
You want to do The Russians Are Coming? The Russians Are Coming? You've never seen that?
I've never seen that.
Oh, you should see it.
When is your next one? Is it this month?
2 weeks. 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
From
2 weeks from now. Okay.
Yep. You think you can make time?
Me? I make no problem. I'll probably watch and I'll give a comment that my dad can then pass on. But I'm probably going to be, if it's at this time, I'm going to be in class.
Okay.
It's on because I think I have international dispute resolutions this hour.
Fun. Well, it was awesome meeting you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me.
Very awesome meeting
We'd
you.
love to have you again sometime.
Yeah, I'd love to be
introducing
part
us
of
to
it.
this movie.
Yeah. Welcome. All right. Glad you enjoyed it. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Yeah, me
All
too.
right.
Thank you. So,
All right.
so
We'll see you
we'll
in 2
do
weeks.
Russians Are Coming in 2 weeks, right?
Yep. Sounds
All right.
good.